I'm Tina Fordham, and you're watching The Navigator, where we look at the geopolitical developments most likely to move markets and impact the business environment. Today, we're going to discuss the first 53 days of Trump 2.0, a period which can only be described as seismic in both policy and market terms. We have a lot to digest, from the passage of 73 executive orders to the spending cuts undertaken by Elon Musk's Doge, to the wave of diplomatic activity in the Middle East and between Russia and Ukraine, and let's not forget the return of plastic straws. But the vigorousness of the U.S. trade agenda and the heightened use of tariffs against both competitors like China and allies like Canada and the European Union, combined with a shift away from traditional allies in diplomatic policy, is now starting to worry markets. The most significant unintended consequence of Trump 2.0 for investors so far is this week's rapid sell-off, with the S&P entering correction territory. Recession fears are mounting, and CEO confidence has dropped from previously euphoric levels. It's currently at the lowest level since the global financial crisis, and around 36% of U.S. CEOs think that things will get worse from here. So how should business leaders plan for what happens next, given all the moving pieces? We advised at the start of the year the importance of taking President Trump both seriously and literally, and we also highlighted the ambitious scale of his agenda, which diverges significantly from Trump 1.0. Key among these is, as Trump himself said a few days ago in an interview with Fox News, that his administration is trying to do big things, and he would notably not rule out a recession. This marks a departure from what market participants are used to, Trump's previous focus on market performance as the ultimate benchmark of his success. So does this mean that the so-called Trump put is over? We do think this White House is going to argue for more tolerance of pain in the markets, as long as the administration thinks that gains are being made in its efforts to rebalance global trade in America's favor. In terms of U.S. public opinion, President Trump's approval ratings are holding steady at around 45%, although concern is mounting that he's not doing enough to address the high cost of living. And 57% of Americans say that Trump's moves to shake up the economy are too erratic. With retaliation from other countries starting to emerge, the risk of trade escalation is rising, and some French wine-drinking Americans may find the proposed 200% tariff threat on European alcohol a bridge too far. We do think that trade tensions have further room to run, however, and that there are few brakes on the White House fervor for tariffs and related tools of economic statecraft. The unintended consequences of the White House agenda are proliferating. These range from big boosts in domestic support for leaders in Mexico, Canada, and Ukraine, to the possibility that Germany passes its biggest defense spending bill since reunification, to an increase in demand for nuclear weapons as the U.S. security umbrella unravels. Some of these unintended consequences could be positive silver linings. We're starting to see traction in the idea of MAGA, Make Europe Great Again, and what we're calling the new safe haven of the mids. Mid-sized democracies like Japan, Canada, Australia, the UK, and Europe. Turning now to our Navigator Watchlist for March, it's an extra crowded month. We're highlighting the risk of a trade war. We're optimistic about passage of Germany's defense spending bill March 18th, which would be a positive for markets and for the EU growth outlook more broadly. But we're also tracking the collapse of the Gaza ceasefire and threats of Houthi rebel operations in the Red Sea resuming, which would hurt supply chains, as well as intensified Russian gray zone operations in Europe. A potential bright spot would be the possibility of a 30-day ceasefire in the Russia-Ukraine war, but we are cautious that markets may be getting too far ahead of the peace process with the so-called Putin trade. That's it for this month. Join our free distribution list to keep in touch, and remember the words of Louis Pasteur: "Fortune favors the brave, and chance favors the prepared mind."